into the search snippet description over there. So we've got actually a tool that you all can download and use. It's part of Chrome, if you have Chrome browser. So basically, what you do is, there's the URL there. So you download this tool, and what it'll allow you to do is basically to model your title tags and allow you to model your meta descriptions. A lot of people don't understand the importance of titles and descriptions when it comes to SEO. They're crucial. They're as important as your AdWords. A lot of people run AdWords, and what happens is they pay great attention to that, description and the main keywords and things, but they don't pay as much attention to their search snippets. So this is one of the key things to look at. So this tool actually allows you to visualize and preview whatever you're typing in. What it does, as you can see here, you just push this button and it goes, whatever your page you're on, it'll actually tell you how this will actually look like before you implement it on the page. So it gives you a nice way to model your title tags and descriptions. So here's more basic stuff. So we in SEO industry like to break things up into on-site factors and off-site factors, right? And there's some other elements out there as well. So pretty much we've got page titles. That's pretty much what you have right up there. So that's your page title. That's a really, what we say, heavy element, because it contributes a lot to the ranking of the page. So you might want to make sure the keywords are included in that. Then of course the content. You want to make sure the keywords are included within the content. And of course you want to make sure that the position of the keyword is not somewhere to the bottom of the page. So we've got internal links, they're also a factor. We've got image description tags, alt tags. We've got headings, and we've got various other markups such as bold, italic, and so forth. So apart from on-site factors, so this used to be really easy. This whole session is how to do SEO in 2012. This used to be really easy. You would put keywords, you would get some links, which is the next segment of the presentation, and off you go. You're ranking really well. The more your links put towards your website, a higher rank. Sometimes it used to be like more times you repeat the keyword on the page, better you rank. But those days are over. They were over a long time ago, but some things are still there as basic elements. So when it comes to off-site factors, we pretty much have Google's link graph and social interactions, which sort of create this off-site factor element. What that means is basically that, see, you could be any of these sites in this network. So Google looks at each and every node in this network and tries to understand how these websites are interconnected to be able to judge how they should rank. So really basic stuff. If you have two websites linking into you, you might think that they're equally the same vote, but they're not. Because if a big university, important website links to you, they'll give you more of a vote than as if your mom linked to you. Unless you have a mom like me, whose website's page rank is 6. Now, a big university links to you, your mom links to you, and your partner links to you. Google not only looks at the importance of those websites, but also looks at the topic of those websites when they're judging how they should evaluate you as well. So, university talks about education, your mom has a weather blog, you're a towing service, and your partner talks about business, and in that context, they're linked through to you. So Google looks at those things and tries to understand how you should rank based on those criteria. How many people know what anchor text is? A fair few. On that end. Not on this end. I don't know why. Maybe this end's more shy. So basically, anchor text is what you put in the link. So if you want to rank for towing, you put towing in anchor text. I put asterisk for that because if you do this too much, you get penalized. Just be careful. All right. Nofollow. Nofollow is an element that you can add to link and others can add to link to prevent links acting as votes, right? Because I said all the links inbound links into your website, they act as votes. So basically, if you don't want somebody to get that vote from you, you put a nofollow tag on that link. And if others are linking with nofollow to your website, then you're not getting a vote from them. Why is this important? You may form a business relationship with somebody and they might be linking to you and go, wow, that's great, they're linking to me, I rank better in Google. But they actually put a no follow. You contact them back and you go, what's going on? Why did you use no follow? If you remove that, you actually get that extra point and you rank better. Gets a little bit more complicated. We're still going through basics, remember, but basically if you have a website, let's call it strength 3. Links to you, you get that type of vote, you get vote strength 3. But if that website links to 3 other sites, you're getting only a fraction of that vote. What that means, what I'm saying to you basically is that number of outgoing links on the page that links to you affects the amount of value you will get from that link. I hope that's clear. So if you're getting a link on a page that has 100 other outgoing links to other websites, you're not going to get as much value as if you were getting a link from a page that only links to you. This is a fact. Adobe still ranks #1 for click here. Why that is because anchor text still works really, really well. Right? And this is one thing that sort of persisted throughout a decade now. Anchor text is still very powerful, but if you overdo it, penalties follow. And some research, some correlations indicate that once you go past 50% of all your links using the same anchor text, sometimes 60%, you're pretty much guaranteed to wear a penalty, unless you're Adobe, because nothing can penalize Adobe because Google knows that they're not manipulating. So the level of sophistication in Google catching spam is actually quite high. So here are some hidden factors that Google may or may not be using, but we've got things like click-through rates from search results, we've got average click-throughs for pages, bounce rates, and they collect a lot of data that we send them. They use Chrome and Toolbar and various other devices to determine how to model their algorithm. A great article for all starting in SEO, trying to understand what actually affects the rankings. On SEO Mods, we've got search ranking factors. It's a fantastic article or a list of search ranking factors that actually allows you to go through them all and evaluate on your own. And it gets updated all the time. Right. This is the part where my slide tells me to talk very fast from this point on, because there's a lot of material. Right, so this is what's happened. You've got Larry Page here, and Larry Page pretty much said to all his employees, this is the path we're headed down. A single, unified, beautiful product across everything. If you don't get that, then you should probably work somewhere else. Now he's very, very serious. Since he started, since he became a CEO of Google again, taking over from Eric Schmidt, he sort of got this entrepreneurial spirit, and he's chasing after Facebook. Right? For Larry Page, social networks is a big thing. So in traditional days of Google, you had what we call link graph, right? Links influence rankings. Links help search engines figure out how they should rank pages. Now that's old news. Then they started creating social graph. Several types of social graph, implicit and explicit. They don't only look at how you connected with your friends and colleagues and such. They also look implicitly how you interact with other people, sharing content, +1ing stuff, tweeting. This involves all social networks. So this is also not so new news really, because they've announced this a year or two ago, saying yes, we look at social signals when we rank websites. It is a factor. Now what happened is Google's come up with this thing called knowledge graph. They've acquired a company called Freebase and built this database from 20 million nodes to 200 million nodes of knowledge. So they're becoming very, very smart, and they're capable of understanding content a lot more. And some glimpses of this is already included in Google's results. So here's what we have. We have social graph, link graph, and knowledge graph working together to create that sweet, sweet spot for Google when they become really powerful and really smart. Without the social graph, Google's missing authorship and social signal validation. Without link graph, they're missing the link authority signals. And without knowledge graph, they were missing that factual verification. So people brag, I've got 10,000 likes on Facebook and I've got 50,000 followers on Twitter, and I'm pretty active, I'm everywhere. That's great, that's good for marketing, and then it even helps your rankings. But guess what? Google doesn't trust Twitter, Google doesn't trust Facebook or any third party anymore. Why this happened is because basically Twitter at some point supplied a fire hose of data to Google, and then suddenly they cut it off. They cancelled the deal, and Google's invested a huge amount of money and time and resources into building this into their search engine. So they said, you know what, I'm going to just cancel this relationship with Twitter, and I'm just going to proceed on my own, build my own social network. So this is when Google Plus started. All right. Some other news. Google's actually worked very hard on the quality of their search results, because that's their livelihood. So over-optimization, use of fake websites or website or blog networks, Penguin, Panda user experience, all these things are now a big consideration when doing SEO. Right. So here's one really, really interesting quote. We know that great content comes from great authors, right? So they're trying to pick good authors and rank that content really well. You need to think about, how can I become a great author in Google's eyes? Well, here you see an example of personalization and author rank. For example, that result there by Aaron Wall came up for me higher than it should have, because some of my friends have shared it. You know, the Mexican guy in a funny hat was actually from Romania. Geert Tsekalakis, the Greek guy from America, and Indian guy from, I don't know, from the UK. A bit of an international setup there. But what's happened is, because I was logged into Google, these are my friends, they clicked on this, they liked it, so Google shows that ahead. That's not even rankings, that's just personalization of results. It's becoming really, really big, especially as Google Plus platform grows. When Google Plus started, people were like, nah, that's never going to take off, this Facebook. One guy in one of the conferences at SMX, he said, you know, my kids are like, what, you're on Facebook? That's for old people. We use Google Plus. Young ones, you know, 6 years old, 7 years old. So you never know what's going to happen, especially since Google's pushing very hard for the growth of their social platform. Another element you see, that's pure authorship. You see my thumbnail there, you can see my name, you can see in how many circles I am, and when this article is published. This type of result in Google actually attracts a lot more clicks than just plain old without anything. You have to have something interesting, you have to have those little stars, you have to have, you know, something to attract the attention of people. So here's an interesting way of doing this in WordPress. Bronx is of course doing a WordPress segment, but just to bring your attention, there are tools and devices you can bring into your content management system to create authorship markup. Basically everything, all the technical bits and pieces, how to connect to your Google Plus profile and verify yourself as an author in Google can be done through CMS. But it's definitely worth studying. Of course, I can't go step by step into this today, but this is something to go when you go home and research how to become author, especially if you run a blog. Schema.org is something else that you should be researching, especially if you have product-based websites. This is the type of things that Schema supports. Even if you're not a product, if you're an event organization person, there's various other things you can get advantage of this. And how this actually results is basically you get a little picture, you get the star ratings, you're aggregating user feedback, and you're presenting this. You've seen these results already in Google. So what happens here is using structured data markup to hint to Google what your website is about and give them all that extra metadata to inject into search results. If set up properly, they will display it. So this is the URL you should check out, rich snippets. We can actually do and test what you're doing. So here's an interesting thing. Product. What is a product? Here we've got a category: shoes, brand Nike, gender men, model MX3, and the price. Is this where the product stops? What if you add a few more properties to this product? We've got size, we've got white, limited edition. If you create a page for this shoe here, and if you create another page for this shoe there, and if you change color from white to black, should you have another page for that? Or should that be just a drop down? It's a really big decision today. It's because of an animal, panda. We'll get to that. So we've got what a product description and product format used to look like. So we've got a product title, description, price, and an image. Nothing wrong with that, is there? So basically, but that's not what Google expects you to have these days. They want you to have the unique description, title, try to rewrite this, but this is probably something more what Google is expecting you for, especially if you run a shopping cart. So I want you to think about, maybe a gallery, price trends, user-generated content, aggregated ratings, user reviews, and all sorts of things like that to enrich, because you need to stand out from everyone else when it comes to your product description, content uniqueness. Defend your original content. You definitely don't want to come up with the best content out there, and some big website scrapes it from you, and then starts ranking for it, right? We've actually built a tool for WordPress that you can install, and basically, whenever somebody copies your content, when you paste it into whatever blog, email, it actually contains your link at the bottom already. Of course, they can remove it, but it kind of hints and reminds them, hey, you just copied my content, maybe you should reference back to me. So not only you get an attribution back to your website, but you also get free links. Here's some do's and do nots. First of all, a little bit about Panda. How Google comes up with their Panda algorithm is basically they develop an algorithm, analyze the results, sandbox it, and push it out to a live but limited environment. And then if they're happy with results, they churn it to a big audience. So this is what Panda does. If they detect a lot of thin pages, a lot of those SEO pages that don't really mean anything, or a lot of same product descriptions, a lot of repetitive stuff, this is what happens. This is actually analytics export of one of the websites we've observed. It was affected by Panda. So first time Panda hit, that's what happened. And each new iteration of the Panda filter, they call it a penalty. Panda's not really a penalty. It's just an algorithm that looks at repetitive stuff. If you have got a lot of repeating content on your website, it actually brings you down even for your good content. So you lose rankings across the board. So this is another excellent quote by Amit Singhal from Google. He says, low quality content on some parts of the website can impact the whole site's rankings. In the old days, we would have a page pretty much for everything. Nike shoes, men's, black, that's a page. Nike shoes, white, that's a page. So this is something that you definitely want to avoid. So what it says, removing low quality pages, merging or improving the content of individual shallow pages into more useful pages, or moving them away or cutting them out is a helpful thing. So if you're affected by Panda, look at how much your website actually repeats content. And this is a deadly thing for any website, faceted navigation. Because they're basically search results. You can click on any number of options here, and you can get any number of search results. Kind of like eBay. You go through your categories, you get different results. If you allow Google to index each one of these pages to an infinity, then you're in trouble. So let's say we have 4,000 products in our database, and we have 400,000 pages. Google doesn't like that. They want to keep the index lean. And this is definitely a type of scenario that you're trying to avoid. So duplicate content, thin, shallow, repetitive content. There's a different algorithm which penalizes websites, pushes down websites with excessive advertising. And they actually look at user experience these days. They look at how well your website is set up before they rank it. So design, user experience is a ranking factor. Canonicalization, basically having different URLs, same page, is a bad thing. You need to merge that in. So that's solved through canonical tags. Pagination, URL parameters, browsable tags is a really big problem. Browsable search results, and full posts and categories when we talk about blogs. So this is an example of a canonical situation. So if you've got one website version, and that's our homepage. You can also reach it through that, and you can reach it through any number of URLs. Google doesn't want to see this. And also links that flow and point to these different URLs should be consolidated towards one unit. You achieve this through implementing a link rel equals canonical, giving you negative impact, what's embarrassing stuff. You want to remove that type of thing. You want to understand what's the positive stuff, what are your greatest links, and understand where they're coming from. And all the stuff in the middle, like blog comments with no follow, you just want to ignore that sort of stuff because it doesn't really hurt or help you. So what I did is I crawled our entire website structure and our backlinks as well. I actually put them all in this visualization here, and I understood what are the best links and how they work, how they're structured. But what I also did is try to understand what are our best link-worthy assets. Where are people linking to? What are those hotspots where people are sending links? And can I replicate those? Can I make double or triple of those pages so I will get more links? Now, let's talk about penguin food for a little while. This is penguin food. This is bad links. And there's an algorithm at Google called Penguin that looks out for link schemes. They're looking for artificial link structures, paid links, well, not so much paid links, blog networks, anything that looks sus. So maybe you browse the web and you're seeing an article and you're reading an article and it doesn't really make any sense. It's just like things put together. That's all called article spinning, you know. I think, what was the Salt Lake City? What did they spin Salt Lake City into? It was a sodium water surface dwelling, right? Because they were spinning each word trying to make it, you know. I thought that was really funny. So you're reading this article and all of a sudden within that article there's like buy Viagra, buy Viagra, buy Viagra, or SEO, 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 like this, you know, payday loans, payday loans, payday loans. So that stuff used to work so well. People were using things like ALN, and what does ALN stand for? And what's that other network? Build My Rank. Yeah. People use these things with paying, with spinning, you know. And then what happened? Penguin came out, and they would identify. So you could pretty much use the same methodology to identify all your bad links, anything that's embarrassing, anything that's sitting that doesn't really make sense, that looks artificial. We have these tools, and Google has these tools, and probably 10 times better. And they can easily find out all this stuff. And once you pass that threshold, they go, okay, penalty. So actually not even a penalty, it's just a filter, just push you down in results. Okay, so what you want to do with any links that you identify in tools like Majestic or Open Site Explorer or even Google Webmasters tools, delete, correct, move. Right, so when you're researching competitors, there's a little bit of a tip. What we like to do is, the logic is quite simple, but it's probably a little bit complicated when you start doing it. You look at all your competitors' backlinks. Let's say for the simplicity, say it's 15 backlinks, and 8 of those backlinks are shared, right? So you want to distill this link list to unique backlinks, unique new backlinks that you don't have and your competitors have, to 7. Makes sense? Now what you do is, with those unique backlinks, you want to try to understand which one should I go after first. One is on a government website, but it takes me 3 months to sign up to something you have to do. And one I can just create my listing and I get a link straight away. So, but there's different values between different links, right? How many outgoing links? What's its page rank? What's its moz rank? There's different metrics you can use to determine how valuable a link is. So we use a variety. We use PageRank, AC rank. PageRank is by Google, AC rank is by Majestic, and then SEO Moz uses MozRank and TrustRank. Any number of these, for as long as you have some metric to balance your link building activities towards, it'll give you an insight as to what's worth chasing after. But there's one more layer of complexity added to this. Basically, link value is there, and you find that through things like PageRank or MozRank. But then there's also a likelihood. So if the link value is really high, on whitehouse.gov, right? I'd like to get a link there. But the likelihood of me getting linked there is minimal, almost 0. So you need to be realistic and balance this out. And then come up with some sort of target score, you know, and eliminate the ones that are totally unrealistic and find the ones that are pretty good, but also pretty realistic. Wow, these are awesome tools. I think download these slides and try to see which one fits you better, but they're all just fantastic. Blacko is actually a search engine. It's not really a link tool, but it does give you a lot of SEO data. Ahrefs, Ontolo, LinkDex, we've used all these, Raven, BuzzStream, Majestic. The ones I would point out is probably Majestic SEO, Open Site Explorer, and Link Research Tools. I've used all three, particularly Majestic SEO, Open Site Explorer. You punch in your website or your competitor's website, you can do a lot of research and analysis, find a lot of link opportunities. Thank you very much. We're having our next session, which is by Bronson. He's going to be talking about WordPress SEO.